All right. This is like the fourth time I tried to record a video in the past few days, but hopefully this time I managed to keep it short enough so that I feel like uploading it. But yeah, this is a project I've been working on for the past maybe 5 days, and it starts with the idea that for the game RS2D, of course. God, the last video was so long ago. I didn't have time to work on it this semester. I was completely overwhelmed, but if I start talking about this semester, I won't stop. So just know that I took an optional machine learning class, and God, it took like 200 hours that semester, and I could have just, not taken it. Sure, it gave me credits, but there are probably easier options to get those 3 credits. Um, like that was it was a really good class though. I'm glad I took it, but it just took so much time. I thought I would have time to work on RS2D, but I with that plus my project class, which took like 350 hours, I didn't really have time. So, like, just to put that into perspective, that's more time just with those 2 classes than I've spent. Like, it's probably double what I've spent on RS2D in total. So, yeah, it would have been great if I had more time, but maybe next semester I will. Anyway, right now I do have time, and I think school starts maybe the 11th, but I'm not sure. I really have to check because I think I'm gonna have a bad surprise because someone told me it starts on the 15th, but I probably not, right? Because it's a Friday. Anyway, um, yeah. So I wanted to make a server, of course, and I want to send uh, kind of normalized data, like formatted. Some kind of you want to use some kind of way that you can parse the data in a uniform way. Which is why I said normalized, but formatted kind of makes sense because I'm using a JSON format. Yeah, I decided to go with JSON. It's C++, it's not JavaScript, so why would you use JavaScript object notation, right? But JSON works really well, so there is no point in using anything else, and it makes it so I can easily transfer it to like any other language, and I can just find a JSON parser from there. But just to have fun, I decided to make my own. So that took like 3 days out of my schedule. But anyway, I'm so far behind schedule because we've been playing Minecraft, my friends and I. So yeah, not too efficient use of my time. But anyway, so the idea is you want the clients to connect using TCP, and I'm using SFML to connect with. I'm using SF sockets. So pretty much you can make here. This is create client and send a message. I should be creating a TCP socket. Right here. Okay. So like you create a socket and then you connect. This is a local host, and I pass the port. And so this function, I just launch another thread to check that the server is working, right? So I start the server, and then I create the client, and then I parse for a while. I can just show you what it does, right? And I can I leave myself one thread to type some actions. So, because as you can see here, I do a while not stop. If you stop, stop. But here I can have a bunch of commands, right? I'm gonna have like a command service, and I'm just gonna pass it the commands, and I'm gonna be able to use the console to like teleport people or spawn stuff. I can do like anything I want, right? So pretty much here, what we can see here is that I do these 4 lines. It's just to test that I can send the data however I want, as long as this is sequential. And here I send a message, and it's type hello. And the data is hello server this client, and then I send the same thing, but it's just on 2 lines here. And indicates that it's the end of the message. So there's a few steps to get that to work. And yeah, I send that 5 times. So as you can see, it appears here 10 times, or here 10 times. And the client received hello from server on connection. This comes from here after you connect. Like after you connect, there's something weird that I get here. So you connect here, and then you do receive, and the server, when you connect, it sends you something. So anyway, as you can see, data though is just it's just a char array, but eventually the server is going to return JSON. but I didn't make it return JSON right now because there's no point. I just made it return a string. So yeah, I'm kind of getting lost already, but let's go look at what I have here. I have a socket server, which is kind of like the base that you need to make the JSON socket server. So the socket server just launches a connection thread and a communication thread. The connection thread has the TCP listener, and it accepts clients. And then if it turns out that it is connected, then you just lock your shit, you add it, and then you unlock and you keep going. While this thread just tries to this is I should probably have a mutex.lock here. You know what? Let's just add it. Selector mutex.lock, because anyway, that costs like nothing and it's much safer. Because erasing is not a kind of like what unit operation. Not sure how to describe it, but anyway, yeah. So here I have like the API to. This is so big. Why is that so big? Okay. I just give the API so I can do start. Start is non-blocking, it just launches threads. And then stop, call stop, which will stop these two whenever they get out of there. Listener.close makes this accept call end, because accept is blocking for an infinite amount of time if you don't call close. And then you just wait for the two threads to end, and then you return out of stop. And so this server only checks for you build it using the message end, and it just parses strings up to message end, and it calls the callback on message that you passed. But if you want to send JSON, just a string isn't going to be enough. So I made another thing completely separate, like on top of this, just so to not mix the two, which is the JSON socket server. And when you build that, it creates its own server, its own socket server. And the callback it passes is to queue the message in here. And so you have one thread that all it does is it queues message, and then your start launches another thread, which is the logic thread. And well, the thread that queues is in server, right? So the socket server has two threads. I mean, this JSON socket server uses another thread, which is the logic thread. And it makes start non-blocking. It just goes straight through, and then you call stop. And then in here, after I do dot start, I launch the client, and then I have my main thread. So as you can see, I have 5 threads, but there is not going to be a client in a real kind of environment, I guess. Like the client doesn't count. I only have 4 threads. The client is just there so that I can test if it works. But and it's especially so that I can push the code on GitHub and it looks good because there's a client. Otherwise, how the hell do you know if it works? You would have to ask people to build a client, and that's just not a good idea. You should supply the client. So yeah, I've made a few additions to my GitHub recently, and now the way I parse this JSON is actually the most complicated thing. As I said, it took me like 3 days because I messed it up, but eventually I found a good way. So yeah, the next step right now to keep going with this is to integrate it with the real RS2D client. And the real RS2D client, I can actually open right here. I think probably this has changed a lot. I worked on it. I'm gonna say good 50 hours of just refactoring, and yeah, it ended up being well needed, and it's not done, but I feel like maybe I've done enough to stop the refactoring and start working on more features, because nothing has changed in the game. I've just refactored. Oh, this is gonna be a problem. I think the server is gonna crash. Let's see. Is it still running? Oh, it wasn't running anymore? Okay. Well, then it won't crash, but this won't run or something. Yeah, okay, this is bad. Let me just go fix that in app. It's because here, like, I don't want to do that. All of this. Because this is not valid anymore because I was sending strings, but I should be sending JSON now, so the server wouldn't have liked that, and I wouldn't have been able to connect also, so that's a big problem. Is it loading fucking symbols again? No, fuck your symbols, okay. Yeah, so as you can see, it's still functional just as before, but it's nothing has changed, pretty much. Like, the only things that have changed are in the code. Like, the functionality is the exact same, so I have a lot of work to do, and I want to start working on the server. Okay, turns out I just managed to make it multiplayer, I think, so we're gonna see if it worked. Actually, it's probably better if I go from here. Debug, nope, not debug, debug here. Was it just created? Yep, just created. Let's launch that and launch it again. Hopefully there's no problem with launching it twice fast. Okay, and does that work? Okay, so this one crashed. That's okay. And nice. Yeah, so as you can see the other player moving. He's just teleporting around now, but that's okay. Oh, that was weird. How it's teleporting like weirdly. Yeah, that's pretty cool. It looks like I clicked a follow, right? Oh, that is so cool. Yeah. The way I did it though is trash, so I'm gonna have to redo it. But yeah, I just wanted to like prototype it. Let's TP back with this, and then TP back with that. Yep. Amazing. Bloop. This is so weird.